So piggybacking off of the styles might be how many bedrooms you want the home to have. You can get one bedroom homes, two bedroom homes, three bedroom homes, four bedroom homes. Clearly, the more bedrooms you have in a home, the more inviting you are going to be to families and therefore children. So you're going to want to think about this a little bit. I have found that with one and two bedroom homes, I get a lot of either single people living there or people without children or maybe one child just getting started. And the homes don't seem to take as much wear and tear. The carpets aren't as worn down, the paint isn't as beat up, but you might get into the three and four bedroom situation and you're going to have a lot of kids that might be living in the home, and therefore there's going to be more wear and tear on the house. There's positive and negatives in that. I mean, if you're getting three to four bedrooms and there's a lot of kids in there and you're in a desirable school district, you're probably going to get a lot more rent than some of the places where somebody who's just getting started might be living. So I want you to think about this. I'm not going to offer too much advice on this, but if you're in a suburb of a city and it's a fairly affluent suburb, you're probably going to be looking at three and four bedroom homes. If you're into the city and maybe especially the hipster areas, you might be looking at one and two bedroom homes. So think about what kind of tenant you're looking for, because that's going to tell you what kind of bedrooms you should be having. You don't want to own a two bedroom home in a four bedroom neighborhood. I'm telling you, that's a recipe for disaster and a lot of vacancy. Another important part of your real estate investment plan is going to be setting the criteria of what price point do you want to be in for the homes that you are looking at. And it's going to be greatly dependent on how much money and how much cash you have to invest, but not necessarily so, because I've had people with $100,000 or $200,000 in cash that want to buy on the lower end of the bell curve because they're going to get more cash. So the price point is going to help you accomplish the goal, but I need you to have a price point goal in mind. My recommendation to you is not to go too low end and not to go too high end, but to stay in that bell curve that exists in every marketplace. The reason is quite simply, it gives you the greatest pool of tenants to choose from. If you're on the low end, people with a better income are not going to want to be living in those neighborhoods. If you're on the high end, people with a lesser income can't live in those neighborhoods. So what you want to do is stay in that bell curve. I'm not necessarily saying the peak of the bell curve, but most of my clients, I recommend staying in that upper third of the bell curve. So just draw your bell curve to stay in that upper third. You're going to find that's where you have the largest tenant pool. So think about the price point and think about how that relates to your marketplace and how it relates to your overall investment plan. Where do you want to own your investment properties? Do they need to be in your hometown because you're a little bit nervous about property management that you can't keep an eye on? Or can they be anywhere in the country? About 2/3 of my clients live on the West Coast, from Vancouver all the way down to San Diego. And they don't mind owning properties elsewhere because Kansas City provides the return that they're looking for on their money. On the other hand, I've got clients here in Kansas City that think the world of this market and they want to own here and they feel comfortable owning here because they can drive by the property every once in a while. They can either manage it themselves or they can hire a property management company. But that's going to be different for you and where you live. If you're living out in Rockville, Maryland, maybe the numbers aren't going to be what you need them to be, and so you might look down in South Carolina or Georgia or here in Kansas City. Maybe though you live in San Diego and you've got all the bucks in the world and you're gambling on high appreciation. Maybe you want to own there. My point is where do you want to own your investment property? Are you more concerned with the returns an investment property can bring you, or do you want to have a little bit of that safety and control where you can keep an eye on them? So think about that and come up with your plan to meet your investment goals. So let's wrap up this discussion about criteria. We've gone over things like what kind of returns are you looking for? Are you looking for cash? How many bedrooms? What style of home do you want? Single family or multifamily? Where do you want these homes to be located? But the criteria can literally be as defined as you want it to be. Do you want brick houses or do you want wood-sided houses? Do you want two stories or ranches? Do you want vacation area homes like around the Lake of the Ozarks or the San Diego beach area? Or do you want something that's just middle America, mom and pop working? Do you want it to be outside of a factory? Your criteria can be as detailed as you want them to be. And quite frankly, your realtor is going to want your criteria to be as detailed as possible because that's how they can help you the best. The better you plan your criteria, the easier it will be for you to see the roadmap to your retirement worth having. That's what we're after here. Take some time before you go out and look at these houses to figure out what house it is you're looking for. That way you'll know when you see it. It's been my pleasure to talk about criteria with you. I'm Chris Lengquist. Visit me some more on chrislengquist.com.